right. We are back with the Think Fitness Life podcast. We are doing a special wrap up episode, kind of recapping this first season and talking about what we want to do and where we want to take the second season. So, um, please feel free to write in if you have anything that comes to mind that we talk about today or anything we've talked about in the first season that you either want to hear more about or that you liked or maybe you disliked. We'd love to hear from you. So it's thinkfitnesslife@gmail.com. But I'm really happy. We launched our first episode in March, the beginning of March of last year. And since then we've released about 42, I want to say 40, 41, 42 episodes, including this one. And it's been a wild ride. Learned a lot on the way. Definitely stumbled over a lot of words on our way. You remember when we first started, we didn't want to, we like tried to be super formal. It wasn't as organic. We said we wouldn't even curse.
Messing around with this stuff. Remember that?
Yeah.
It was so
I don't
bad
even know
the
if I can
first
go back
couple
and
ones.
listen to them, honestly. No, it's good.
We should at some
There's
point.
some good content back there that probably only like 20 people heard. But yeah, I remember that like probably the first 10 was super awkward because for any of our listeners, I'm in Salt Lake and Menchie's in Boston, and season 1, which we might change for season 2, we've just did it all on audio, so we didn't have any video. So playing off each other and kind of knowing when one person was done talking, all of that was very much learned and developed.
We figured it out over a couple. The first couple are awkward. Remember our test ones
good
too?
Thing we didn't release those. Maybe that's what people would want to hear in a wrap up episode. They'd want to hear like outtakes. It would just be a lot of cursing in the first couple episodes that we all cut out. But we also were like so generic too. I remember we had one just like on our favorite exercises and like on the way we did our nutrition, and I feel like we had like a couple of downloads and stuff like that, and obviously that grew, but I didn't feel like we really got into like juicy topics until probably like episode 10 when we did like the motivational science. We did we broke down the squat, we broke down the deadlift. Yeah,
that was pretty popular, the squat one. I think that was kind of one of our turning.
That was one of the first episodes. That was under 10. That was like number 7. That was one of the first episodes that had like 100 plus downloads. So it's pretty interesting. It's a pretty popular exercise. I feel like everybody feels like they have a lot of pressure on them that they need to squat.
Yeah, I think it was a good one. It was one of the best ones I felt finally like comfortable with behind a microphone.
Do you remember your first interview?
Well,
who was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess Kara. One-on-one it was Kara. You and I interviewed Mike together first, and then you interviewed Kara. Yeah. And I interviewed Emmett, and I actually listened to my first few interviews because I don't know. I just want to get better at interviewing, and I definitely took the mic a lot. And it's fun now doing interviews, and it's kind of like, all right, there's the microphone. Go ahead and talk, and you're just kind of like shuffling them along to talk more about different topics that might be interesting or diving deeper, and just kind of like always trying to think about what someone else would want to be hearing about this person, or diving deeper into the topic.
Well, that's good. And I think, for the upcoming, I have some people that I have lined up for interviews, and I know you said you have. So I think kind of bringing those back on, because we haven't really released an interview one besides last week in a while. So I think it's going to be good to kind of, get people out into the world who may not, people who don't really know who they are or what they do or the science behind
Yeah, I want to get
what
a
they
lot
know.
more passionate people on. Like we had so many, like all the interviews were just like really passionate people about what they do, and it makes them an expert in their field because they're just so about giving back to their community and helping others that it's great to hear their brain work. Um, and I just want to find more people like that. Like we didn't have one bad interview, and I love that. And I just want to keep finding more people. And I went back and I interviewed Emmett a second time. I went back and I interviewed Todd Sylvester a second time, and that'll probably be in um, season 2. So look out for that one. That one talks about belief systems and kind of bridging the gap between morality and religion, because too many people kind of throw the baby out with the bathwater on that one. But look out for that one because that one's actually really interesting about how to reshape your mind and get it away from negative thoughts. He's got a lot of good tips in there. And yeah, that'll be coming out for season 2. And then Dr. Carrie O'Neill, I was like so excited to have her on, a sex expert, and talking about all the health related benefits from having a healthy and a happy sexual connection with your partner. And I think that one came to mind because throughout my career, um, from Equinox to my gym where I'm at now, less so with my actual clients, but more so with people that I talk to at the gym. They'll just, after you get to know someone for a while, that guys talk and they'll make jokes about like how they haven't had sex in a couple weeks or months, or they'll joke about how like they get it only once a month or something like that. And it was like kind of sad. Like here's this person who I don't know that well, who feels like they can talk to me about what the problems are in their sex life, and I guarantee they can't talk to their spouse that same way. So it was kind of sad, and it was great to hear an expert talk about it so nonchalantly as a way that she can coach people and guide people along about having these conversations and getting to a healthy, happier lifestyle.
And that's the name of the game. And that episode I thought was, at first I was like, okay, whoa, he's kind of going on the
Oh,
deep
because
end
you
here.
listen to it,
And
right?
then once you kind of,
That's right.
oh yeah, yeah, and then you listen to it, okay, you have a different appreciation because, like, like people really, you kind of bring that topic up, and you're like, people are like, okay, yeah, we'll talk about it, but like, we really don't want to talk about it, or like that's private behind closed doors. But I think, which was good, is people get to, I don't know, almost like rediscover themselves in different aspects of it. And then that'll be with all our interviews. What are you going to find out that's you can improve with yourself or be better so you can live a healthier life or just like happier life.
Yeah, and I think that really speaks to our audience because when we do get questions in, it is always about people searching for ways to improve their life, their health, their relationships, and um, that's a choice, right? Like you can enter a room and be super negative and be super down on things and focus on all the negatives, or you can focus on how you can improve and get better at things. And I think it speaks volumes when we can provide people with these simple solutions that are proven to work. Like I'm not just I'm not just like speculating. I'm finding people who are in the industry. And this woman, 20 years or so, 20 plus years of coaching people, and Todd Sylvester, 30 plus years of coaching people, and they know what works. They're out there doing the clinical research. And I think too many times do we demand to see like scientific proof and scientific evidence, and you can't always do that in every case, unfortunately. And some of this stuff is newer. I mean, I remember listening to a podcast with Paul Chek, and that dude is a motherfucking pioneer when it comes to the health and fitness world. But he was talking about the autonomous nervous system and talking about developmental stages of development. And he's talking about quadriplegic or paraplegic patients and clients he has that he works with. And he'll hold them like a baby in his arms to try to redevelop that natal response and that primal response of developing connections to the body. And he'll use the autonomous nervous system and reflexology to say, okay, you can't move your leg on your own, but when I hit this part of your knee under your kneecap, your leg moves. So there's a connection there, and he grows that, and he just works with people and rehabs people in that fashion. And like up until you would definitely, everybody would common knowledge would say, oh, quadriplegic, paraplegic, yeah, you're going to be that for life. But it reminds me of this story of a guy I met in my very first gym, Kevin, and I'd love to be able to try to track this dude down and get him on a podcast. I'm going to write his name down because I want you to actually have. Do you have a piece of paper and a pen with you? Good. You should write down any names that we like come up with today that you want to reach out for and try to interview. But this guy Kevin, and when I met him, he was walking around doing full body workouts all the time, and I never would have guessed his story. But his story was essentially he got in a really bad car accident. He crippled his spine so bad that not only was he quadriplegic or paraplegic, so paralyzed from the wait, which one is it? Paraplegic or quadriplegic? Quadriplegic is you're paralyzed from the neck down, correct? Okay, so he was quadriplegic, right. And the doctor said, we need to replace your vertebrae like immediately with metal vertebrae, otherwise they're going to collapse on your organs and you'll die. And he's like, well, that means I have to accept that I'm going to be quadriplegic my whole life, and I don't want to do that. So what he did was he stared at his fingers until they would wiggle, and just kept trying to move them until he could move his hands and his arms. And that took him like a year or so. And then he did the same thing with his lower body. So it took him like 3 years in total to get back to walking again. But that willpower, that mindset, that the way that the body responds to just simple perspective and beliefs is fascinating. And it just blows my mind. So that's one dude I definitely want to interview if I can. I don't know if there's anybody come to mind that is like a fascinating story like that.
Personally, that I don't really know all that I've worked with, but I could definitely track some people down, right. Make some relationships.
I got another one too. Another guy from my first gym.
What do you got?
This guy Michael, and he used to be a monk, and he's had the rap sheet of medical issues in his life, and he's always come out alive. And he had this stroke that only 1% of the people who survived the stroke, it's like only 1% of the people who survive the stroke end up being a vegetable. And he had this type of stroke.
Damn.
And he gets up and he's walking out of the hospital. And he said, this is Beth Israel. He said all the nurses and doctors are in the hallway just clapping for him because they just didn't believe their eyes. And one time he was telling me a story about how he switched doctors, and the doctor's like, I need to see your medical history. And he said it was like 3 encyclopedias stacked on top of each other. And he's like, good luck reading it. But yeah, long story short, he had an issue where he had a pinched nerve in his neck, and he couldn't feel his arm anymore. And they said they were going to do this procedure where they cut in through his neck. They move his vocal cords to the side. They shave a millimeter off his vertebrae to allow for room into the nerve, and then put his vocal cords back. And the rehab process would be like 8 or 9 months before he could even talk again. And he's like, no, I don't want to do that. So he stares at a ruler. He's like, 1 millimeter of space. That's all I need to get. And he meditates for hours and hours and hours, for weeks and weeks and weeks. And he starts to get feeling back until finally he got full feeling back in his arm, and he never had to get that surgery. So just powerful. We actually did an episode on powerful minds, but that'll be also a meditation one, but I'm writing that name down.
I think the more diverse too. I mean, these crazy stories and thinking, okay, who? Now I don't really have like anyone that I know that beat like rare cancer or something like that, but like I'm sure I'm gonna come across someone or someone's just be like, yeah, I did this, and I'm gonna be like, okay, well, it doesn't really matter. Like in the exercise field, it's like, what did you do to get through that and still be here to today? That I think a lot of people can use that almost motivation to be like, okay, well, I'm here. This person went through all of this and they're still here. They're still fighting. They're still working every single day to be better. And I think that's where, and these people, that will really move this. And season 2 is going to be badass for having that.
It doesn't even need these extreme cases like that. But even hearing someone like Kara Crow going through all her injuries and still accomplishing all the goals she wanted to and still being like an amazing athlete. Like I hear things like that. And when I go through moments of like, I don't know if I can do that. You hear these stories and for a brief moment in time, you're reminded that, man, if this person is accomplishing all this and they had all these troubles getting there, like, and I'm not really having those same troubles, like I can do this, and I think it's humbling, and it
Totally.
definitely puts things in perspective. So like even if you can get in touch with like any former athletes that you worked with or anyone with an injury, anybody who think would be a good add good value to the podcast, like I really like the mindset side of things. I think that helps set us apart, but also the fact that we're all about just building fitness into someone's life and integrating their lifestyle like that. Because I think too many people end up being their worst enemy by um, almost beating themselves up, and they're trying too hard to like stick to a really structured meal plan or a really structured workout program. And it's like it doesn't have to be that hard. If you're trying to get in shape, if you're trying to just stay healthy for longevity purposes, like, and you want to do aerobic activity, you don't have to go to a gym and hop on a treadmill or a bike. If you like biking, if you like running, if you like soccer, if you like basketball, find a recreation league or something. Just be active. And it doesn't have to be, I think people overthink it. I think people complicate it.
No, I think they do. I agree. Too much almost. And I think it's the biggest thing, like you said, is the mindset's so important. Is everyone knows what to do. We gotta just get up and go walk outside for aerobic work. I mean, that's a start for
Right.
people. The hardest thing in kind of ending kind of season 1, I know, we're talking New Year and you know how that goes. Everyone's okay, what's your resolution, all that stuff. I think it comes with the territory. It's like, how do you best get out of your own way for your own personal growth and development? Like what's holding you back? What's not letting you accomplish what you want to? And now we're already almost a month into 2019. I think, all the listeners out there, we should be kind of on that path of, hey, this is where we're going. This is what we're accomplishing. But I think, it's tough nowadays with there's so many distractions. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, I think I completely agree because there's just so many people um, who are trying to make money in this industry, and they're not putting others ahead of their own um, greed. So they spend all this money on marketing and making all these sexy videos or sexy photos and all these sexy,
Sexy
yeah,
Instagrams.
right. I know, but I don't even stepping aside from just like a sexy photo on Instagram, just like they want something that's really appealing. They want to like trick people. And it's a shame because people are stupid. People don't think. And if people don't have to think, they won't. And people are suckers. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people in this industry in particular who try to take advantage of that. And their science is so outdated, and they don't care about any of that. They just care about making something that is sleek and easy and replicable, or what's the word I'm looking for? Replicate.
Replicated?
Yeah, like they can repeat it over and over to 100 people. Like, I mean, I saw training like that all the time at every gym. There's always that one trainer who does the same thing with every single client or pushes their agenda on every single client. And I'm like, how can you be for someone's health if you're not going to be about someone's health? If you're going to be about what you
Right.
want to do and like how you want to do everything, you want to train everybody the same exact way, then go fucking do something else. Do a different industry.
And you see it more often than not now. I mean, I've walked around the gym and talked to people, and what are you doing today? What's the workout like? Oh, I saw this workout on Instagram. This person did this. They're really in shape. Which, not going to knock the people on Instagram, but it's just, you just got to be careful of the content out there, and what's going on. And then looking around at other trainers in the business in the gym, you see like them replicating exercise that they just saw or just learned, and they're just trying stuff out. And I'm like, well, how? What are you trying to do here? I know you're trying to build a business,
But
but
try it on your own
you also
first or something.
right, and that's my big thing with my clients is I'm like, whatever you're gonna get, I've tried, I've tested out. I know how you're gonna feel, when you're gonna feel it,
Yeah.
but you just see that. And I was actually talking to a client today about it, and they're like, really? Even though they're working with the trainer, that person's still doing that. I said, sometimes you don't get the quality that is there. And it's just kind of like, okay, how do I turn this person over to the next person, to the next person, and make more money?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people nowadays are just kind of getting that generic, okay, cookie cutter, here you go, program. And it's like, once they're done with that, like, where do they go from
Yeah,
there?
I think a lot of trainers fall into a trap of, man, how do I make more money? Okay, I need to train more hours. Okay, how do I train more hours? Okay, I need to get more clients. Okay, well, how do I want to make my life easier? I'll just do the same program for this person, this person, this person, this person, this person. And it's a shame because it's kind of idiotic. It's kind of stupid, and it's it's annoying because um, there's so many other ways that people can grow, and that's a very inefficient method to do it. And you actually take away from the value you give to the rest of your clients when you add more clients at that point. And I remember listening to a lot of the professionals growing up, just like Gray Cook, Mike Boyle, Eric Cressy, and who was it? Um, Cochran. And like a couple of these guys were talking about how like when they do private sessions, they don't want to do more than like 5 a day because that's the quality of work they can put into an individual in a holistic manner. Talking about sleep, nutrition, diet, stress, and then after the session, doing more work. I think there really is a difference, and I understand the different verbiage between a coach and a trainer. And unfortunately, the only people who understand that are people like us who are working in that area. But most of the time, to the average person, general population person, or even an athlete, there's really not much difference between a trainer and a coach. But you and I know that a coach is someone who is working through issues with their client. I have some clients who tell me, yeah, I had a trainer for 2 years and I had my left shoulder hurts a little bit. We didn't do anything that hurt it. We never did anything like overhead, for example. And I'm like, he didn't try to fix your fucking arm. Are you fucking serious? And all we did was arm bars. All we did was arm bars. And the dude's like able to press overhead without pain. It just pisses me off because there's people who are going to dig deep and spend that extra time and coach you and work through and try to progress you. And there's other people who really are just taking your money and trying to get you to get a good workout and um, keeping it easy on themselves.
Right.
And,
Well,
you
you
know,
remember when you first start out and you're like, oh, I want to do these so many sessions, and I'm thinking, 7 to 10 a day. I'll be here, and then you get there and you finally do that, and I don't know other people's experience, but what I've experienced is like you're just like wiped out. At the end of the day,
oh my
you're just like,
gosh.
I don't even want to look at. a single exercise thing. I'm kind of like mentally drained. And there's days where you got to go there. It's at first it's a grind. You're going to have to put the work in. But then as you go, you kind of learn, okay, how am I going to manage my time? And I think this goes hand in hand with like personal growth development is if you're just mindset of session after session after session, where are you going to get that kind of continuing growth and education side? So my thing now is, I always have 1 to 2 hours where I'm either taking classes, I'm reading, I'm going through old notes, I'm going through books, I'm reading up on new things and getting that time to kind of implement and understand better so I can help my clients more. That's just how I operate. But I need to have
Same.
that. I need to have that cutoff. When I'm done, this is what I'm doing. That's my time for me. And
Yeah.
I will tell people I will turn down sessions for my workouts and for my
Oh, for
personal
sure.
time because that is what helps
For
me
sure.
be a better coach. And I'm not trying to just jam everything in. But that's my preference. That's how I kind of mentor people. Um,
You got to practice what you preach. I wholeheartedly believe that. But I also believe that when I'm working out, I learn new things about a particular exercise that I can use when I'm coaching someone, like on the way that it feels, or they're having a certain issue in form, or this is a way to tweak it so you can feel it in this manner, or this is a different cadence to use the weight, or different rep count to
Absolutely.
use the weight, and you'll get a different effect. And
Also,
and
why
I
why
love
did
how
you
you brought up a
leave?
couple
I
points there. I
lost my
want to go
workout
back real
buddy.
quick. Um,
I know. But
Dude, I had to get the
no,
fuck out of Boston first of
no, no.
all, but second of
I don't
all,
mean
I didn't
anything
I
bad.
didn't like
I
that
just
all they
mean
did was crack a whip.
sole
I didn't
purpose
like how they
of
made
workout.
an
Me,
environment
you.
of
Like you're
competition.
like since then I have worked out with no one. Like no one's
I
been like,
know.
"Hey, do you want to work out or I want to work out with you?" They're just like, "Nah." I'm like, I had one years ago.
No, the only person that I saw work out harder
He's a
than
savage.
you was Colin, but I couldn't Olympic lift. No, animal, fucking animal.
No, but I
But
think
I
get
just,
back to your
yeah, I
point.
couldn't
That's what I
couldn't
want to
do
bring.
it.
Like having that
Um,
person to work out, like
and
pushes you even harder. Like you pushed me to be better. I pushed you to be better. And it was just like this one on one. How could we create better programs? Remember some of the stuff we were doing at the end? I mean, we were throwing like
yeah,
variations.
it was mad scientist shit. Yeah, those were great workouts, and I still model my workouts with two of my clients. Two of my clients I model after that behavior. But yeah, no, it's crazy because I do miss those workouts. But back to a couple of your points, like I don't take a 5 a.m. because I work out from 4:30 to 5:30 every morning, and I except for Fridays I'll work out with one of my clients, and sometimes Mondays I'll work out with him too. But Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, every week I'm up. I'm at the gym at 4:25, 4:30, and I'm getting my workout in. And I had someone ask me for a 5 a.m. and I was like, I can't. I won't do it. And I guarantee they thought in their head like, "Oh, this dude's lazy." I don't give a fuck. Like if they ask me, I'll tell them straight up. I'm up before you. I guarantee because I'm at the gym working out, working hard. But you got to again practice what you preach. You got to get your time in, and you got to get that continued education time in. I'm doing a Nora Good Goddess Primal Restoration course. So on Mondays and Fridays, if I don't go in early to work out, I'll actually listen to a video at like 4:30 in the morning because like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and my first client is out of the gym, so I'll drive to his house after that and then go to the gym. But yeah, I think you need to be top of mind. You need to be on point with staying on top of the science that's out there and the information that's out there because you need to be relevant to your clients. And back to your other point too about burning yourself out. There were a couple times in holidays when, like Thanksgiving. I remember Thanksgiving, man. I put 10 sessions in a row, and It was like 8 sessions. I might be exaggerating, but it was 8 sessions, 7, 8 sessions in a row. And I was dead. I was like, fuck this. I'll never do that shit again. I remember looking back at like
I know that
my
feeling.
last 3 sessions were the worst sessions I've ever provided. And as a service provider, as someone who's taking money and providing a service for an hour, I felt like I cheated people. So I just wanted to always give my best product in every single session and put my best foot forward. And I don't think people can do that banging out, you know, 8 to 10 sessions a day. I think you
Right.
have to have a cutoff, and whatever that be, that could be different for every individual. I'm not saying it has to be 5. I know that my number is right around like 5 to 7 with a break, at least one break in between there. Um,
I have to have a break. And I totally tell people that it's like, you're going to, and some people don't care. Some people are like, they don't have that like quality guilt. But as soon as I can feel myself being like, this isn't a quality, um, session, or I'm not giving it, I kind of like step back. Okay, like got to recheck myself. What can I do to give them my best in the time that I have
yeah,
right now, and then flip around for next time, be better. But for me, it dwindles in the afternoon. I can start feeling like, okay, come at the end. This isn't quality. I just don't like where this
yeah,
program's
because
going. I might
honestly,
have written this
I
program quick,
value the way that I would see you do things and the way I did things, which was um, adapting in the session and adapting kind of based on what is going on with your client. And I do love. I have one client who has the whoop, and I can now
Yeah.
see how well he's recovered, and I love
Ooh,
that because like today it was like last week it was like 43%. I was like, we are taking it light today, and then today um it was it was 97%. So we hit it hard. Dude was squatting like um we worked up to 285 for
absolutely.
sets of 5, and then we went up to 325 for sets of 2, and it's just an animal. And after that we're doing front loaded walking lunges with 70-pound dumbbells, and then he drops it to make him do body weight for the rest for like 15 more. And it just shows um like having little bits of information, whether it be observing, whether it be uh, qualitative data, asking them questions, or quantitative data using technology. You're catering to that individual at a much in a much better way that is going to allow them to get results and stay healthier. And I don't know. I really see the value in being that coach, that mentor in that way. And when you can be on point like that, you get people who want to train with you more than one time a week, more than 2 times a week. Like right,
And it builds that rapport, like we said earlier. Like, you're not just a factory. Like, this person came in and you asked them, how we feeling today? Is everything going on? And someone might be like, I'm just feeling off, and you're
yeah,
like, well, we're gonna adjust. And then you give them a workout that kind of fits their needs, and all of a sudden they're like, instead of him just beating me into the ground, or like, he actually catered to what I need, and that felt really good. I've really felt like I still got stuff out of it. And it's like, you get these clients that all of a sudden they listen to you, but now they're
because
buying
they know
into
you
you,
know your
and they're
shit.
like,
They know
they
that
will, if they're coming in and
they know
you
you know
tell them
your
to do
shit.
this,
Like
they
you
will
you
just
were always the one
boom,
person
done.
who was in the break room with your headphones on the laptop, watching videos of like I think it was PRI at the time. You're reading textbooks, you're going over notes, and I did admire that. But I was like, fuck, I just came out of like even one session, and I'm using the break room as like a decompress for 5 minutes before I go back out there. But you would be like, oh no, I'm just gonna read. And you were always good like that. But I think it's so true because I think a lot of trainers miss the boat because they're coached improperly by gyms to just like churn and burn, churn and burn, churn and burn, sell, 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 sell. That's like fuck. Why are you guys trying to work harder, not smarter? I'm going to put my best product forward to the people I connect with, and they're going to be the bread and butter for my next clients. You work off if you can get to a point where you work off referrals, you get referrals. That
Right.
speaks volumes. That speaks volumes to the work you're providing. And I
It's a
remember
no-brainer.
actually Mike Woodward said this to me. Remember Mike? He's still at the gym? No?
Yeah.
Really?
No.
Why? Where'd he go?
No. No.
You know what I'm talking about, right? He has really bad knees.
Oh, is he? Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's still there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, he's really bad lower
Coming
body. He
twice a
can't even
day. Always
box.
crush some arms.
But um,
Yeah, he's still
he
there.
told me, he was like,
I
I
know.
think the best sign of a good trainer is a trainer who can think about how they want their client to walk away from that session thinking, man, that was a great session. And I think about that every time. And I try to get the people to really walk away like thinking that that was such a valuable session. And I'm walking, coaching them through everything from start to finish, from the warm up to the cool down to the stretching, telling them what they need to focus on, whether it's like, make sure you're drinking lots of water today, whatever we've been talking about, right? Whatever their goal has been for the past couple of weeks, how, make sure you're getting some good veggies in. Like, let me know if you need anything. I'm always available by phone. I think that goes a long way. But yeah, when you can really cater to the clients that you have, then you'll get more clients. But when you treat your clients like a number and just like, all right, off to the next one, people pick up on that. And people might not necessarily get rid of you, but they're not going to feel the need to go that extra mile to refer you to their friend. Think about that. Think
They'll
about
get rid of
you in
you.
that position, how much it would take for you to go home to your
Right.
spouse and say, I want you to train with this person. I want you to go meet with my trainer because I think he would be helpful for what you're trying to accomplish. And
Yeah. Oh, and I can remember like people being like, oh, they got sessions, they got a package, and they'd be like, oh well, I'm done with my so many sessions, and I think I'm done with training. And for a while there, it happened over and over again. I'm like, okay, well what's going on? Why aren't people staying? And then you start realizing you're talking to the people that have been there a while. It's like, no, it's just not training. It's not
yeah.
writing a workout. Like you got to build everything you just said in, get the buy-in. Then all of a sudden they start throwing names and people towards you like, hey, check this person out, or I'm going to send you this person. This person is interested in training. It's like all of a sudden this network just grows. And like you said, you're working smarter, building a business without really
Well,
doing
I came
a
in
ton
kind of
of
later than
backbreaking
you at
outreach.
Equinox, so I didn't really see you struggle with that. But what I always noticed was you were always like literally coaching. Like you had full attention on your clients for that full hour, and you were instructing everything, like from a side plank of, okay, pick your knee up, pick your hip up, squeeze that glute, engage that oblique, and exhale and reach that arm forward, protract that shoulder forward. And you're cueing them constantly to really engage that muscle and really find out what they're doing and really gain that training effect. And I have no problem telling people, like, don't talk to me right now. We're in our set, but let's talk after. And I think a lot of young trainers struggle with that, is they miss the boat on,
Yeah.
they're their trainer first and friend second. And you'll get so much more respect when you can say things like, all right, we can get time to talk. And if you have any questions, by all means, ask me now. But when we're in the middle of the set, I want you full focus on what you're doing. Because one, I don't want you to get hurt. Two, I want you to get the best work out of it and get the most quality reps out of each set. And I think that goes a long way when you can learn to kind of word that appropriately. Don't get me wrong. I went through a period of like, man, I don't know how to tell this person to shut the fuck up. But then you just get better and better at it, because it's just about how you say it. Like, you don't say shut the fuck up, because that wouldn't take over well. Oh, that's good.
You're like, yeah, you, you know what I would do? You know the trick I would use? I'd be like, all right, we're gonna do a squat. We're gonna hold 5 seconds at the bottom. Try talking to me then.
Right.
And then they get done with it and they're like, okay, hold on, I need some air. Um, but I totally like, even in my own, like, I'm sure you remember, like, I'd be doing something and mid set and I'd be like, just wait wait till the end to ask me a question, or talk, and I'll answer it when I'm done. That's still what I tell people. People is like, I need you to focus right now. Go through it. I'll cue you through it. Once you're done, then you can chat. You can get some
Right, or
oxygen
it's
and
like programmed in.
do
Maybe you are
whatever.
doing a circuit and you have two really hard exercises mixed in with like a mobility movement or a
Right.
stretch, and you're like, when we do the dynamic movement, that's when we can talk. But right now, let's just get these two in, and yeah, I think that's definitely a
Wait,
learned skill because in my first year at Equinox, even so, my year 2 as a trainer, I was so nervous coming to Equinox, and I was even more so of like trying to be respectful and trying to listen to people and not super pushy. And as a tier 1 trainer, I was definitely more of like a pushover, and it took me a while to develop that. Like, no, this is the program where we got to stay the course, and let's get it. But it also did come with the territory of being, moving up the ladder, because your tier 1 clients weren't necessarily the most invested in trying to better themselves. They almost just wanted someone to be there when they worked out. But let's
right.
let's
It's a
oh,
development.
for
It's a
sure,
development
for
as a
sure,
trainer.
and it doesn't happen overnight. But um, who I just thought of, that I don't know if you could possibly interview. Could you interview um, any of the guys from PRI?
They're
I'm
on
also
my
going to try to
list.
interview my boss, Mike Rosas. He's a strength and conditioning coach, and he started in Wyoming, and he's he went to a bunch of Paul Chek Institute like seminars, and he actually had a beer with Gray Cook and Mike Boyle. I was like, dude, you got to tell me all about having a beer with those dudes.
Is this before or after they were kind of like on their path of
That's a
changing the
great
fitness
question. I
industry?
don't know. I'm sure it's got to be
It'd be
after,
interesting
because
to ask.
I doubt he would really know about them unless they were big.
True. Unless like it's just like,
Yeah,
who are
right.
these two
Just
guys?
these two dudes taking
You
shots. They all
never
want to
know.
party with those guys. Um, but yeah, I definitely want to get like some more doctors on, especially in nutrition, because I listen to a lot of like um, Dr. Mark Hyman. I listen to a lot of Stephen Gundry, Dr. Gundry, but they're really big. I doubt I could get them on, but I bet like I don't know. I'm going to write these names down anyway. Mark Sisson, Dr. Gundry, Dr. Mark Hyman. I wish I could get Dr. Perlmutter. And these guys are just, they were pioneers when it wasn't looked at as having a fat based diet, and everyone thought that carbs are the answer and a low fat diet is the answer. And now it's finally been accepted by the American um, what was it, the American Dietary Committee, that actually a high fat diet is
Finally.
more beneficial and carbs and sugars are the problem. But the sugar industry has as long the sugar
Won't
industry
let it
has long
happen.
funded the scientific evidence to promote sugars and fats being the problem in stupid studies like with mice or whatever. But
And they're gonna fight that. They're gonna
they
fight
can't
tooth and
they
nail
can't they
to
can't
make sure
relate
that
to their
doesn't
clientele
spread.
anymore. I mean, people are waking up. They understand that sugars are the problem, and it's an addiction. It very much is about your amygdala and your opioid receptors in your brain, rather than using your prefrontal cortex to make smart decisions. So you become literally like a dumb animal, or you can become be in control of your life and make the right decisions. And it's hard because it's a tough addiction to break. I mean, there's still constantly times where I'm like, I just want a cookie. I just want a cookie. Yeah,
Oh,
but then
sugar
you know what?
cookie.
I make I what I do now. And anybody out there with digestive issues or autoimmune disease, this is a fix. Tahini, because it's sesame seed butter. It's no lectins in it. There's nothing in it that's inflammatory or damaging to the gut. Cacao powder, 100% pure cacao powder, organic. There's nothing damaging to the gut in there. unless you're just allergic to either of these ingredients, right? Um, I'll use
Right.
Stevita, which is the liquid drop form of stevia, because there's just a lot of stevia brands out there that mix in different powders when they make it in the powder form. But the Stevita is just liquid form. Um, and I'll break up like some pecans, so it's got a little crunch to it. And sometimes I'll just eat it like a
Ooh.
pudding. Other times I'll put it in the freezer or fridge and make like a little bar and eat it with a spoon. But that's like my go to. And I'll admit it's not like amazing. It's not incredible. I wouldn't. But it's all I can eat really, and I'll make it. I'll make it happen. I'll enjoy it, but I make sure I have some every night.
That's one big thing I think a lot of people are skewed towards. They're like, okay, well, let's say they have this addiction to sugar, this craving for sugar. There's always this like, I got to find something that's going to replace this to be sweet. Well, it doesn't always have to be like that. And there's always never going to be something that is exactly like, this is going to mask my sweetness, because the only thing that will mask that is something really
Right.
sweet.
Well, the problem,
People ever ask me that? They're like, oh, what do you do instead? I'm like, well, you should eat something
exactly.
different. Or for me, I do fruit. I like fruit. That's kind of my,
So for me, it's just I
sweetness.
don't want to get
But
the insulin release, and I don't want to still have the the simple sugars in my system. So I do like that. I really like stevia doesn't have any response. It doesn't have an insulin response, and it is a little sweet. So there's like
right.
still that mental addiction of like, man, I want something sweet, but um,
But it's
exactly,
not
it's really not.
overpowering
If you and
sweet.
you don't want to
You know?
overpower it or just taste really bad. So you just do a little bit of little mildness with like a spoonful of cacao powder, and it's more so. It's just like I just like it because it's a little like peanut buttery treat, but it's you're not supposed to have peanut butter. It's a legume. You're not supposed to have almond butter because almonds are rich in lectins.
Well, if you can handle it,
No,
some people
absolutely,
are
absolutely.
different.
To each their own, and they might not know it's damaging their gut,
No,
but
but yeah,
it could be. So they should
right,
look into that.
right.
But yeah, to each their own. To each their own. That's always true.
But I think you're on the path. Like, okay, like, if you can just, like I tell you, if you go into Whole30, like you cut
You
stuff
got to
out,
go through a period.
people, you don't
Yeah,
crave sugar. You don't crave anything. So if you start like telling your body at night, we're gonna have a fat food, or we're gonna have this, your body will start adapting and be like, I'm gonna come home, and what I crave now is kind of weird, but remember you kind of turned me on to those ground beef bowls with
I
rice and
love
avocado
that.
and stuff like
Yeah,
that. Like I come home and that's the first thing I'm like, oh, I can't
yeah. For
wait to
me,
have
it's
that.
like
I'm
I
like,
crave
that's
I
what I
crave like
crave.
meals. Like I'm like, man, I just want to make like some rice, or I want to make like some chicken breast and broccoli. Like I crave like meals. But yeah, you have to go through a period of eliminating that addiction cycle, and it
Totally.
really comes down to this. This is the best analogy that I think that I've come up with for it. Is your body's lazy, and when it knows that sugar is so easily readily available for energy, it's going to tell you to go eat something sweet. But when you can tell your body, fuck you, use the fat storage in my body, it's going to have to. I think of like Jabba the Hutt, like a big fat slob sitting in your mind
Totally.
that's like, huh, we could go use these burnt or these wet logs with bark on them for energy, but oh, that would take some time. We'd have to dry them out. We got to take the bark off. We got to splinter them. Let's just send signals to put more food in our system. Go tell them to eat some bread. Go tell them to eat some pasta. Or go tell them to eat something sweet. Like they all act the same in the system. They're easily digestible. They're quick energy
Yeah.
sources. But then if you tell your body, that's like kindling to the fire, right? If you tell your body like, no, there's no more kindling. Use these wet logs with bark on it. Your body's like, fine, and it takes some time though. It takes some time for your body to get that process in working order.
Well, and you tie that into kind of like it's all goes together, because I'll 100% agree with you that the human body is a lazy sack
But
of
but
meat
if we put it in
organism.
perspective, it's
Like it
just
will
trying to be efficient, right? It's just trying to say,
efficient,
I'm on this
right?
planet Earth. I don't know when I'm going to get a meal again, and I'm roaming around. I want to be efficient with my energy. I want to be efficient with consuming, and I want to store, and I don't want to waste, and I want to again be efficient. Kind of,
It's
sorry, go
all
ahead.
it's all no, I was about to say it's all for
Exactly, that's a good
preservation. Like
word.
that's all it is. Um, and it kind of everything kind of tiptoes and it spiralizes into this like, okay, well, if this thing's lazy, then the mindset's there and I have everything readily available. And it's like, boom, problems, health issues,
You know,
you name it. But I definitely
there's
will
there's
agree
one
with
more
you on
thing I
that
want to
one.
bring up before we wrap this up, and it's Jason Fung with Jimmy Moore, The Complete Guide to Fasting. And I have this book, and this book is fucking incredible. So much good information. But I recently heard him on a podcast, and he talked about how for over 100 years, there's been evidence to prove that calories in versus calories out is not the way to lose weight. And
Oh, really?
yeah,
Damn
I
it.
know. And it's just like you talk to people and you're like, that's not, it's not about calories, guys. Like it's about macronutrientation and sourcing. And they don't believe you. And I love the way he put things because he just references all these studies. And I didn't know that the body adapts so rapidly, but he was like referencing all these studies where people took their basal metabolic rate, say it was 1500, and they said, oh, only going to eat 1200 calories. And then with a matter of days, their body started only burning
Oh
1,200
yeah.
calories. And it's just like you're not going to lose weight that way. And it's just funny to listen to him because I've never heard him talk, and he's very like blunt. He was just like he was literally like people who think that they're going to lose weight by restricting calories are so stupid. It was just so funny.
Well, at first it works, right? Well,
Yep.
maybe you don't call it a week or
Yeah.
two, but that's where a lot of diets fail and a lot of exercise programs fail is because your body will figure out its new standard.
Right. Right. Because it's
And what are you
preserving.
going to do
Preserve.
to
Use the
contrast
best
it?
word.
And that's why that's also why we have jobs and why we are in this industry is to help people understand that it's not just day over day, same exact thing. Like
Yeah.
there's days where it's going to be more challenging. There's days where it's going to be less. We're going to do a little of this.
Right.
We're going to cut calories here and go fasting, see what your body does. Like your body's going to figure it out and it's all very beneficial. I think people just need to understand there's no like, I love when you say the cookie cutter, easy button way, like that just doesn't
Yeah.
exist. And
And,
it's never going to
and
exist.
it's just where he uses the word stupid. Sometimes I just think it annoys me because people are not that use the word, but it annoys me um, that there's so many people out there misinforming and misguiding others just so that they can sell a product and just so they can
Yep.
be sexy
That's what
and
it
get their
is.
attention. And yeah, it just comes down to misinformation, misguided. And this is the reason why we might have, like you said, like a variable type nutrition program where you have sort of like a high starch day and you have a day of just fats and proteins so that you stimulate, or like, calorically, you might have a low calorie day and a high calorie day to stimulate your metabolism and then kind of pull out the rug up from underneath it so the metabolism's still working, but you're not super calorically high that day, so you're burning more. And that's why they do it in bodybuilding contests. And all these people who prep for shows, they cycle. They go low carb days, high carb days, and medium carb days. And they keep doing that until like peak week when they do like a really high carb 3 days and a really low carb 3 days to really ramp up their metabolism, pull the rug out from underneath it to make it still work, but eliminate their intake.
Totally. Well, and I'm sure you've heard this before, and people are like, oh, I haven't eaten all today, or haven't really had my coffee. Like, I'm not going to perform well, or I'm not going to work out. I'm like, that's a lie. Like, you might have some performance, but we're not talking like we're performing at a high level here. But you're still going to survive. You're still going to have a good workout. You're still going to have a good training effect. And guess what? Your body's going to be okay because it's now fasting.
Exactly. Like
I,
a
I always
lot
think
of
that's just kind of like a almost just like a cop out. Like, okay, well, I haven't really had my coffee today. Well, like your body's going to survive without caffeine.
Well,
I
I do
guarantee
think
it.
some people think that in order to get progress, they have to push themselves harder than they did the workout before. When really it's just about the tension or stimulus that you're putting on the body to get that training effect.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that wraps up our season 1 wrap up, and I love the rant that we got in. So, for those of our listeners who are still with us, look forward to some more exciting, big name people coming in for interviews for season 2. We're really going to ramp up the interviews, and we're really going to dive deep into some of the history of where we are today and what are some of the takeaways that you can use now so that we can help people make steps towards a healthier, happier life after each episode. That's kind of my goal. If we can help one person after each episode think differently or try something new that helps them better themselves, then we're a success. So thanks for tuning in, guys. And that's the end of season 1.